Expedia and Visit Scotland invite you to come step into centuries of history that await in Scotland. Castles steeped in legend walk along cobblestone streets. Come share the warmth of stories passed down through generations. This is a place with a past that is fully present today and all yours to explore. Plan your Scottish escape today at expedia.com/Visit Scotland.
Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content and $7 Productions.
20-year-old Canute of Denmark has just survived his 5th battle against Edmund Ironside for control of England. His men are exhausted. The ones who are still standing, that is. He can keep going if he has to. He's still on top. But what will be left? Who will be left? Canute owes it to his men to make wise decisions. He sends heralds to Edmund Ironside. Canute proposes a way of resolving this once and for all. Single combat. The moment arrives. The two claimants meet at the appointed place. Canute wields his sturdy wooden shield and his mighty battle axe. Edmund Ironside, clad in chainmail, bears a steel sword glinting in the sun. Canute says a quick prayer to the Christian god, and then he says another to Ullr, the Norse god of single combat. Canute grunts and swings. Edmund counters. Metal clashes against metal. The two men are equally matched. There's no telling when or how this will end. Canute presses on. Not just his honor, but the fate of all of England depends on his ability to land the final blow.
Hello, and welcome back to Badass of the Week, the show where we tell the badass history of badasses. My name is Ben Thompson, and I am joined today by my co-host, Dr. Pat Larash. Pat, we are celebrating a big anniversary this year in 2026, aren't we?
Oh, we are. And something tells me you're not, at least in this particular moment, referring to the 250th birthday of the United States, right?
250 years is nothing compared to the anniversary we're celebrating today.
Ooh.
We had 500 years of the Battle of Panapat. That was pretty long.
That was pretty long,
years.
yeah.
That's kind of long. Today we're going way back. We are going to talk about a millenniumversary.
Millenniumversary. Yep, that works.
Millenniumversary?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's been 1,000 years of Canute the Great.
Canute the Great. Yes.
Now, Canute the Great is a type of guy that we like to talk about a lot on this show. He is a Viking warrior. And like many great Viking warriors, his story, I think, Pat, is going to tick a lot of boxes on our Badass of the Week bingo card.
Absolutely.
Which we do need to expand, I think, a little bit beyond just heads on pikes and a few other choice things. But Viking warlords, they're fun, and they're fun to talk about. And we are celebrating a 1,000 years since Canute the Great became the king of, as I like to say, it's one of my favorite kingly titles. He became the king of England, Denmark, Norway, and some of the Swedes.
Not all of the Swedes, just some of the Swedes.
Some of the Swedes.
Okay, this is specified in his title.
This is his official title, yes.
Okay.
King of England, Denmark, Norway, and some of the Swedes.
Some of the Swedes. Okay, so it's like a title with an asterisk.
Yeah, it's an unspecified number.
Okay, yeah.
Swedes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we know that it's not 100% of the Swedes. Okay.
Definitely not 100%.
Okay. England, Denmark, Norway, and some of the Swedes. Okay, yes. So tell us about Canute the Great.
Canute the Great is an interesting guy. He's a dude that proves that you can start your career by mutilating hostages and end it by getting high fives from the Pope.
Whoa.
Which...
That's a 180.
It's a kind of a 180. It's the Middle Ages, so it's not that far apart, honestly. But let's talk about Canute the Great. Let's talk about 1,000 years of Danelaw. Let's talk about why English is such a weird language.
Oh, yeah.
Because it incorporates stuff from the Vikings and the Germans and the Angles and the French and everything else. I guess we'll start with the quote, and it's from a book that, Pat, you're going to talk about a lot later, so we won't get too much into it right now. It's the Encomium MA, and we will talk about what that is later because it's also badass. But the quote about Canute reads, "In this great expedition," it's talking about an invasion of England. In this great expedition, there was present no slave, no man freed from slavery, no low-born man, no man weakened by age, for all were noble, all strong with the might of mature age, all sufficiently fit for any type of fighting, all of such great fleetness that they scorned the speed of horsemen." Pretty good description of your invasion force.
That's pretty good, yeah.
And the guy he's attacking is a king of England who is known today as Ethelred the Unready. So place your bets. We'll be back after the break to talk about who won.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
Marvel Television's Wonder Man, an 8-episode series, now streaming on Disney+.
A superhero remake, not exactly what we'd expect from an Oscar-winning director.
Action! Simon Williams, audition for Wonder Man.
I'm gonna need you to sign this, assuming you don't have superpowers.
I'll never work again if anyone found out.
My lips are sealed.
Marvel Television's Wonder Man. All 8 episodes now streaming, only on Disney+.
Membership means more with American Express Business Gold. Earn 4 times membership rewards points in your top 2 eligible spending categories every month, including eligible U.S. advertising purchases and select media, and U.S. purchases at restaurants, including takeout and delivery. What are you waiting for? Get the card that flexes with your spending every month. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
All right, welcome back to Badass of the Week. I am here with Dr. Pat Larash, and we are going to talk about Canute the Great. Sometimes you see his name spelled K-N-U-T. Sometimes it's C-A-N-U-T-E. I had always kind of thought it was Canute. So
okay, yeah.
I think we're going to go with Canute, right?
Let's go with Canute. Canute. I think in some Latin texts it's C-N-U-T.
I've seen that too.
Canute.
Canute.
Canute the Great. I want things to rhyme. Canute the Groot or something, which doesn't actually work, but Canute the Groot. I don't know.
I am Canute.
Yeah.
He is the son of he's from Denmark. He's the son of the Danish king Sven Forkbeard.
Oh, one of those Viking names.
God, it's a great name. It's very visual. I can picture this dude. He looks like a dwarf from a D&D adventure.
Yeah, the beard is like split exactly, maybe curling off a little bit to the edges. Yeah. When
your name is Sven Forkbeard, you have to comb your beard in the morning. You have to do this, right? Make sure you always have enough hair ties to tie it into a fork.
And if you're King Sven Forkbeard, you might actually have an assistant to help you also.
Fair enough. His mother was a Polish princess named Gunhild, and she is sometimes referred to as Gunhild the Haughty.
Oh.
So,
okay.
Haughty,
yeah. We're talking about high flyers here.
Yeah, talking about somebody you don't mess with. Mm-hmm. I don't know what kind of images these might conjure for you guys, but Gunhild the Haughty and King Sven Forkbeard of Denmark, pretty serious, badass names.
Yes.
In the Viking world.
Yeah.
Now, Canute is the second son of Sven Forkbeard. So whereas, this is that time period where the first son succeeds the king and the second son gets whatever is handed to him by the first son. Canute early on decides, all right, I'm not going to be the king, so I'll gain a lot of like honor for my family by becoming the greatest warrior that ever lived. So he becomes a Viking and goes and sails around and attacks villages and towns and gets into battles and sets things on fire and hits people with a battle axe. And he's very good at this. And he grows up in a very strong tradition of Vikings from Denmark. The Viking children, for fun, would like throw rocks at each other, and they'd have like swimming races, but you were like allowed to drown each other in the race.
Like drown all the way?
I don't think so. I think
but
like
you could
it was
horseplay.
legal to just shove somebody under the water and hold them down there for a minute.
I have some ninth graders who would fit right in. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, I think it's like that, except the violence is encouraged.
Okay,
to a degree that it's not really anymore in the public school system. Yeah. I hope.
And and the violence is encouraged because it makes you tough, right?
Yeah, and that's a value for the Vikings.
And also people who horseplay together, stay together.
I think so. I think it's good practice for, when you actually have to, nowadays it's not such a valuable life skill to be able to like drown your enemies in a river. But I think it was like a little more common in the year 1000.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're going to start the story in the year 1002 when Sven Forkbeard decides he's going to invade England. And he's got a real bad beef with the English. He's going to invade England and he's going to conquer it. And when he goes, Canute the Great, or he's not Canute the Great yet, he's just Canute, second son of King Forkbeard. Prince Canute is going to be on the main ship, and he's going to be a central commander of this invasion. Now, why are the Vikings attacking? Pat, this is a kind of a weird. I feel like, a lot of times Vikings violence was just like, uncontained, wanton aggression and pillaging and raiding and destruction for the sake of destruction. But Sven Forkbeard he's got a legitimate beef with the King of England right now.
Yeah. So why is he invading? Does he have particular beef with Ethelred the Unready? It seems like there's something personal going on here.
There's something personal going on here. So in 1002, King Ethelred, I don't think he's the unready yet. Yeah. He will become unready. We will see that he's wildly unready for everything the Vikings are going to throw at him. But at the time, he's just King Ethelred. And he decides that, okay, yes, there have been Vikings, the great heathen army. There's been Vikings in England raiding and pillaging and whatever since the late 700s. It's 1000 now. He's getting tired of all of this. So they have there's this other problem that's happening where like a lot of Vikings have settled on the eastern coast of England in some of these towns like York, and they've started to kind of integrate themselves into society. And there's stories that the Vikings would take a bath once a week, and they would comb their hair, and they put butter in their hair to make it like shiny and pretty. And they would wear some of the guys would wear makeup, so they were like attractive. Ooh. And a lot of the English guys were like, I don't know who these guys are, but I hate them.
Oh no! Oh, come on! They could learn some tips. The English guys could get a glow up.
Yeah.
Makeup and butter.
They did not do that. They instead decided to celebrate the obscure festival of St. Brice's Day by massacring all Danes living in England.
Whoa! So
that's a different direction.
That's harsh.
That's harsh.
Yeah, unfair, I would say.
Yeah, a little
just
unfair.
Just because butter there.
Some people. I'm just glad that I live in 2026. As much as the world seems miserable now, it's always been miserable.
That's true. Yeah. There's something profound there, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Sven Forkbeard's his sister and her husband are there when this happens. They're locked inside a church, which is then set on fire, and they are burned to death.
Ooh, that's a beef right there. I mean, the whole thing is not cool, but this is deeply personal. Yeah.
Yeah. Not only is King Ethelred, invoking Viking genocide, but he's also like murdered the like direct family members of Sven Forkbeard. So, okay, here we go. He is going to attack, and he is going to show no mercy, and he's going to show Ethelred how unready he is. He set sail with a huge fleet of Viking warships, one of which is commanded by Prince Canute. And as they are sailing across this massive invasion fleet, the one I was just talking about, men who run as fast as horses, everybody's strong and powerful and kick-ass.
Yeah.
Ethelred, the advisors come to Ethelred and they're like, dude, there's so many ships. There's like 800 ships, bunch of guys, Vikings, everything. Ethelred is like, well, I was not ready for this. And
what was he expecting?
Was not prepared for them to respond like this.
What do you think is going to happen, buddy?
What did you think was going to happen? I find myself asking that question a lot on this show.
Yeah. Okay. So he was unready, not in the sense of like he like forgot to do his Latin homework, but in the sense of this vast fleet of Viking ships full of Vikings is showing up on his shores, and he's like, doo-doo-doo.
Yes, he might have also forgot to do his Latin homework. Would that make him more monstrous in your eyes, Pat?
Okay, yes, but the immediate concern is the 800 Viking ships showing up on the coast.
Yes, so he does what you probably not what you'd expect him to do. He's like, I got to get out of here.
Okay, that's what I personally would do, but I am not king.
He runs away. He bails to Normandy. He sails across the English Channel to France and abandons his people and his military. Sven Forkbeard shows up. There are no orders being given from the higher levels of British governments or English government, I should say, or military.
Because Ethelred is not around.
Ethelred is not around.
I'm deeply unimpressed by this guy.
He's really an unimpressive person. Yeah. So he's not remembered fondly by history. We know him as Ethelred the Unready. He's so far all he's done is order murders of civilians and run away like a coward and be unprepared for things.
Yeah. Okay.
So he Sven Forkbeard shows up with his Viking army. They plunder and pillage and maraud, destroy, like cut their way through the English forces, conquer the island, take London, and then Sven just drops dead unexpectedly in like his 40s. This is also a thing that just happens in this time.
Yeah.
And so his son had stayed behind. The first son had stayed behind in Denmark because he was like the prince. He's the heir apparent. Sven leads the army. Canute, the prince, is in England. So when Sven dies, Canute, who was the second son, they're like, you're like the ranking nobleman here. Canute is 20 years old at this point, so he's barely out of his teenage years, and now he is the guy in charge of England.
Whoa!
He's the king. He's decreed king of England.
Okay. So hey,
great.
Okay, this
that works
like an
out.
Opportunity for him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he's declared king of England to replace Ethelred the Unready, who's not dead yet.
No, he's in Normandy.
But people are not happy with him. So Ethelred's son is nominated. So you have to still rule, and to rule, you need the help of the nobility of England. Yeah. And the nobility aren't exactly down with Viking Danelaw sort of situation. So they're like, actually, we don't think Canute should be in charge. Yeah, Ethelred's gone, but he's got a son named Edmund Ironside. And we think he should be our king.
Well, I mean, with a name like Edmund Ironside, I mean, if nothing else, it's an improvement over Unready.
Yes. Edmund Ironside. Edmund Ironside is a serious guy. He's a top contender. He's the number one contender here. Canute has taken over. He's the king. He's like 20 something. He's 20 even. He's got 5-6 years of Viking raiding. He's been training for war and leadership his whole life. He's here with a Viking army, but the nobility, as soon as he's declared king, the nobility rises up behind Edmund Ironside. And Edmund Ironside is a knight. He's in his 20s also, I believe. And he's a pretty badass fighter. He's a horseman. Everybody who met him has liked him. He's kind of the opposite of Ethelred the Unready, even though he's his son. Yeah. Now Edmund declares himself king. So we got to do this. We got to have a succession war. That's the bingo card.
Oh, wow.
Check. succession
and
war.
Everyone on the island pops popcorn, except popcorn actually was anachronistic. But let's pretend they're popping popcorn. We're like, okay, we are watching Canute, Canute the Viking, and Edmund Ironside duke it out.
Popping crisp bread.
There we go. Yeah.
I saw some at IKEA the other day.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to try to do a whole thing about Vikings without mentioning IKEA, but I was literally at IKEA the other day and I saw crisp bread and I thought I knew. Because we talked about it on the Vasa episode. Okay. So England, it becomes a war zone. Canute and Edmund are chasing each other all around the countryside, and they fight 5 huge battles. And the final battle comes in 1016 at the Battle of Assendon.
Whoa.
And there is the battles happens in a battle happens on this field. The Vikings, they have their guys with their 2-handed axes. The Edmund Ironside's there. He's got his personal bodyguard. It's a battle. They're fighting as a stalemate. And then one of the English nobility, this guy, Edric Striona, his name means like the Acquisitor.
The Acquisitor.
But he probably should have been called the Backstabber because in the middle of this battle, it's a fight. It's a hard fight. And then Canute watches in awe as the Acquisitor turns his cavalry around and starts attacking Edmund Ironside's forces. He just betrays his own commander and attacks Edmund Ironside.
Whoa.
And the battle, Canute is watching this. He's in the battle. He's and this is the time when kings were at war. He had his banners. He's on the field with his sword and his armor and all of this battling. And he sees, he's like, I don't know if we're going to win this one. I don't know what's going to happen. This feels just like a decisive battle, but I don't know who's going to win. And then part of the English flank turns around and attacks the rest of the English army. Canute has no idea why this is happening. He did not pay off this guy to do this. He has no previous knowledge that this is going to happen. So when the Acquisitor starts attacking his own guys, Canute's like, I don't get it, but I like it.
Hey, it's a freebie. Okay.
Yeah. And he wins the battle and is now the undisputed heavyweight champion of the English monarchy.
Yeah. And I wanted to talk about the Treaty of Olney or Alney. It's this island. It has a name. It's spelled a few different ways. You know how these old names are. So this story is, okay, so Ben, this is our podcast. This is Badass of the Week. And you know our policy on stories. If a story...
Yes, we tell the good ones.
We tell the good ones, yeah.
If it's badass, we're including it. Whether or not it's historically, whether it's not, it's like consensus historically accurate.
Yeah.
Especially when you get back to this time period. We're like...
Oh, exactly, yeah. And so this may not have actually happened in exactly this way, but it becomes part of the lore about Canute and Edmund. So maybe it's historical fan fiction, but whatever. Anyway, so most contemporary sources, most like reliable sources or more reliable sources say that Canute and Edmund just met on the island to negotiate a treaty. And the treaty is a historical fact. That's definitely it. But in later chronicles, people who were writing, after the time, and these are chroniclers who maybe had a sense for what would make a good story. They said that they were going at it they were fighting it out. They were going at it with shields and axes and, I don't know, wars.
Like they fought a duel over this treaty.
Well, yeah. So there were, as you said, Ben, there were like 5 different battles that had been happening, and at some point, maybe Edmund and Canute are both thinking, okay, do we really want to waste more soldiers? And do we really want to piss off the local chieftains whose land we're just trashing left and right as we do this? So the 2 kings, according to the story, met on an island in the River Severn to settle it, mano a mano. So single combat. So they, according to the story, they hacked at each other until their shields were splintered, but neither of them could actually land a finishing blow. So each of them, they're gasping, they're winded, they're covered in each other's sweat, they're covered in each other's blood, but they're still standing. And then Edmund Ironside looks at Canute and realizes that actually we're basically the same type of guy. In a way, we're kind of the same person. And in that moment, they basically agreed to be blood brothers. They hugged it out. They split the country in 2. Maybe they, sharpied down a map or something. Edmund kept Wessex, Canute took the rest, and they agreed that whoever of the 2 of them died first got the whole thing. And the treaty made it very, very clear. There are all sorts of clauses and conditions. The treaty made it very clear that this did not include the sons, brothers, or other potential claimants, either to Edward's half of things or to Canute's half of things. Whoever dies first passes their share to the other of these two badasses. Because let's be honest, Edmund Ironside, he's a badass. Canute the Great, he's a badass. So this is a treaty between two badasses. And
that's really interesting because they do have this kind of noble adversaries thing happening for them, right?
They do, yeah.
By this point, Ethelred is dead. So Ethelred the Unready flees to Normandy when the war starts. When Sven Forkbeard comes back, when Sven Forkbeard dies, Ethelred comes back and they're like, oh, you should be king or whatever. And then, but then there's a war and Ethelred is not, he's like assassinating people, perhaps. He's leading very poorly. There are versions that I prefer calling him the Unready because that's what we call him.
Yeah. And it's funny.
It's funny. There is there's a version of this. There's some historians believe that it's a mistranslation of unriad, which means ill-advised.
Okay, well, he was also
not flattering for him.
Not flattering, but kind of maybe puts the blame a little bit differently. I don't know.
At some point, it's your fault that you're ill-advised if you're the king, though, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, Ethelred dies during Canute's attack pretty early on, and then that's when Edmund Ironside takes over. Edmund Ironside may have had Ethelred the Unready killed in order to take over and lead better. Unclear. But yeah, these guys are both lifetime warriors who battled it to a standstill. And I do like the idea that maybe they fought a duel and then decided they would just call it a draw.
Mutual respect, yeah.
So that does beg the question, though, who dies first?
Yes. Well, who dies first and when? So 6 weeks later, Edmund passes away. R.I.P. Edmund. And Canute, he's just
6 weeks. That's
I mean, I don't know. I mean, well, and Canute, well, I mean, golly, I have to follow this treaty, right? It's legally binding. So, okay, looks like I have to, take control of the entire island. Okay. I think I can do this. I think I can handle this, my friends.
Mm-hmm. And that was 1016, so 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, 1,000 years and 10. Depending on how we do the math.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is 2026. I mean, no. It works. Man. It totally works.
Yeah, so it was it's weird because there's two declarations here. There's the declaration of he's the King of England 1,010 years ago.
Okay.
And he becomes the King of England and Denmark and Norway and some of the Swedes 1,000 years ago.
There we go. Okay. That's what I was getting mixed up. Okay.
Yeah, that's what's happening here. All right, well, let's talk about that. But let's do that after this commercial break. So when we get back, we'll figure out where those Swedes came from.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
You may think you know McDonald's drinks, but you don't know them like this. From fruity refreshers like the Strawberry Watermelon Refresher and the Mango Pineapple Refresher with popping boba, to crafted sodas like the Sprite Berry Blast with berry-flavored Sprite topped with cold foam. Who knew ice-cold drinks could be so fire? 6 all-new drinks are here. Try them all, now at McDonald's. Refreshers contain caffeine.
This spring, Uber Eats has you covered. Whether you're celebrating mom, dad, or your favorite grad, not all of us are great planners, and with the Uber Eats gift hub, you don't have to be. Send flowers, perfume, champagne, or just their favorite meal straight to their door. Gifts arrive in as little as 25 minutes, and you can add a personalized video message for that additional so-not-last-minute touch. So this spring, get a leg up on gift giving with Uber Eats. Last-minute gifts that land every time. Must be 21 or older to purchase alcohol. Product availability varies per region. See app for details.
All right, welcome back. We are talking about Canute the Great. Ethelred the Unready was unready and died. His son Edmund Ironside was badass and also died. And now Canute the Great is king of England. Now, we still have this problem with all these nobles who don't really want to follow him. So what does Canute do? He marries Ethelred the Unready's wife, which sounds kind of weird, but I think she's like a similar-ish age to him.
Yeah, it works. It's fine. It's cool.
It's the Middle Ages, whatever.
It's people roll with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so her name is Emma of Normandy. And Pat, we alluded to her in the entrance with the encomium MA, but she's interesting.
Yeah. So we call her, Ben and I, we're going to refer to her as Emma, Emma of Normandy. But she was also in some contexts where she had to have her name represented in Anglo-Saxon documents or Anglo-Saxon official situations. She used the name Elfgifu, which is an Anglo-Saxon name meaning elf gift, which I feel is like, I don't know, like an outtake from Lord of the Rings or something.
Yeah, like a gift from the elves.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm picturing her with the elf ears now.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay. So we've got fork beards. We've got elf ears. Okay. We've got
Gunhild the Haughty.
We're Frodoing this all the way.
Haughty,
okay.
Haughty, like angry.
Oh yeah. So this woman, we're going to call her Emma, and we have good reasons for doing this. Even though Elfgifu is a really cool name, we're going to call her Emma.
Because she's not the only Elfgifu that's going to appear in the story.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
We don't want a Mithridates situation here.
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah, you can take off your bingo card.
Okay, so yeah, Mithridates, any Mithridates reference, I think could be.
Yeah.
So Emma of Normandy's cool, and I like her. She is the great aunt of William the Conqueror. And so now, she can kind of trace her family line through a guy named the Great and a guy named the Conqueror, because Canute is going to be Canute the Great. So that's pretty good shape. Yeah.
And one of the reasons we think she's badass is, that. And also, she commissioned the text called the Encomium MI, which you quoted from earlier, Ben. And this is one of the main sources we have on Canute. Now, as you can imagine from the title, Encomium MI, which is Latin for praise of Emma, it's pretty much exactly as advertised. It is very pro-Emma, and it is also very pro her husband. It is very pro-Canute. So anything that makes Canute look good makes Queen Emma look good too.
And she hired somebody to write this.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And the person writing it is, we don't have the name. It's an anonymous author, but they basically mentioned that they were commissioned to do this, which is fine. You're disclosing your sources of funding.
You pay for it. Yeah, exactly. You disclose your sources of funding. If you're going to pay for it, you can have it. So if somebody wanted a counterpoint, they can commission their own book.
Exactly. There you go. And
you'd probably be decapitated for that, though, I imagine.
Well, maybe.
The reign of Canute the Great.
Yeah. And so Emma is Canute's second wife. His first wife was actually another woman named Elfgifu, and she basically got damnatio memoriae. Right,
because we don't know her real name, I don't think. I think it was
Elfgifu.
Oh, that was her real name?
She was also an Elfgifu, which is why it's extra important to call Emma. First of all, Emma was, I think, her actual name. But also the first wife was named Elfgifu. It was a popular name.
Elfgifu, we think she's Anglo-Saxon also?
She's Anglo-Saxon, yeah. So in the Encomium MI, this first wife, Elfgifu, never gets referred to by name. She's only mentioned in passing as some other woman. And seriously, it's like, whoa.
I love that. People don't change. Don't talk about your ex-girlfriend around me.
Yeah.
Humans have not changed that much in 1,000 years.
Yeah. So this is Elfgifu erasure.
Check.
Yeah. And they say history is written by the victors, or history is written by the most recent wife or whatever, Mm-hmm. So, and this comes up, when she's referred to as some other woman, this comes up when the Encomium MI describes how Emma is basically negotiating her prenups. So she worked out this deal with Canute. She made Canute promise that he would only name as his own heirs to the throne only the sons that he actually had with Emma. And so, and the text said, for it was said that King Canute had sons by some other woman. And so it's not even that she's not even named. It's that she's like, only her existence is only alleged in a way. Like
he had kids. Some other lady, I don't remember. I don't know who she is.
And like we supposedly, so it's like there's shade has been thrown. And so Canute and this first wife, Elfgifu, who we could refer to as Elfgifu of Northampton if we want, because she was from Northampton, England, not Northampton, Massachusetts. Anyway, it was. I do like Emma negotiating the prenup because she does hold a lot of power here in this scenario because he's like, I need to marry. If I marry you, because she's connected to like France, she's connected to the English nobility. She's connected to a lot of stuff here. And he needs her to kind of legitimize himself as King of England, right? Especially like, because the English are not going to accept Canute the Great. He was born in Denmark. He was the leader of an invading army. They're not going to accept him. But if he's able to produce heirs with Emma of Normandy, now you have like some legitimacy, some stability that could probably work out. Exactly.
That's gonna work out fine.
And his exact, the exact status of his relationship with his first wife, Elfgifu, Elfgifu of Northampton, it was, she was still alive, but it was easy to kind of negate that marriage or relationship or whatever. Maybe because one explanation might be that Canute and Elfgifu might have been married in a pagan hand fasting ceremony, which was not a Christian ceremony. So that was a loophole that maybe allowed him to
relegate. Count,
it doesn't count.
There wasn't a priest there.
So this is Elfgifu erasure.
You can definitely get that annulled by the Archbishop.
Definitely, especially if you're powerful and have Emma of Normandy kind of, pushing you.
And that's a condition of your marriage with her. Condition.
I mean, to be honest, we really don't know much about Elfgifu, and I would love to see someone write a historical novel about her, or actually a historical novel about Emma. Also, I think that'd be a lot of fun. Anyway, and at one point, Canute actually sends Elfgifu with their son, and this is a son who, by definition, is not going to be an heir to the throne. But he sends Elfgifu with their son Svein, who's named after his grandfather. He's 14 years old at the time, and he sends the two of them to Norway. And on the one hand, this gets her out of Emma's hair. On the other hand, it means that Elfgifu is not just in Norway to like party or do embroidery or look at the northern lights or whatever. She's there along with Svein to rule Norway on Canute's behalf.
Oh, so I've promised you that none of my sons from she who shall not be named will be the King of England. But as soon as Svein turns 14, they're like, he's like, all right, you go to Normandy, you're in charge there. I can't be the King of England and Denmark and Norway and some of the Swedes all at the same time. I need to like delegate a little bit of this. So Svein, as soon as he's 14, is like a fine age for becoming a king at this time.
Oh, totally. So, well, he's 14, but also his mom is there as, like a regent advisor, whatever,
Sure.
There is Svein at age 14 probably does know a lot about leadership, but also there is a grown-up in the room.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's good to know. And like, you're less likely for Emma to have a bad day and Elfgifu to suffer a horrible accident.
Whoopsie. Yeah.
Okay.
So Canute, what's Canute himself up to?
Canute is a guy who grew up as a Viking, and now he realizes he's the King of England. So, all right, he realizes that you can't build an empire. He outlives his older brother, so now he's the king of everything. Now, he realizes that you can't build an empire when you're constantly looking over your shoulder for an assassin. So when he takes over, he does an HR audit of the nobility. Everybody that betrayed him, everybody that betrayed Sven Forkbeard, anybody who might have been like possibly involved. Sven Forkbeard, he did drop dead at 40 something and he was like a pretty fit Viking warrior. Anybody who might be implicated in that situation. They're gone. A lot of these guys disappear. They don't come down for breakfast in the morning, and instead they're replaced by Vikings who were sent over from Denmark to replace them.
Okay, so he gets his own guys in.
Yeah, he does a HR audit.
That's a very diplomatic way of putting it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now, an interesting thing about Canute is that he's grown up as a warrior, and he's from a culture that is very proud of its warrior tradition. He does something very interesting for this time period in the Middle Ages. He establishes a 20-year period of peace in England.
Oh.
Yeah, who saw that coming? He goes around to different cities and he builds churches. He goes to different counties. He's like building infrastructure. We love it when a leader builds infrastructure,
especially if they're Vikings building infrastructure.
Viking
who was it?
Infrastructure.
There was a Viking we talked about earlier who built infrastructure, and I'm blanking on who it was.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't Turgus the Devil, was it? Might have been.
I think it might have been. Yeah. Anyway, infrastructure. Whoa, infrastructure plus Vikings. Yeah.
So he does it. He builds a lot of churches. He in order to be the king of England, he has to be Christian, which is the Vikings are turning to that around the year 1000. They have been kind of famously worshiping Odin and Thor and Freya and all of them, and now they're starting to realize that, like, if you want to be accepted by, or they're finding Christianity, and they're realizing that this helps them rule over territories that they've conquered. Okay, so he goes around, he builds a bunch of churches, whatever, merry-go-rounds, high fives, kids, builds orphanages, I don't know, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Everybody remembers him as this pious and holy man because he gives a lot of gold to the church, and he only assassinated people who deserved it, and he commissioned books like the Encomium Meme, or his wife did, that made him look really good in the historical register. Now, okay, he also decides that he has shown up in England with an army of Vikings who have raided and pillaged and destroyed and done all of this stuff very efficiently. But he really doesn't want these guys hanging around England because that's bad news waiting to happen. So he passes this one tax on the English population. That's like, all right, this is like the war tax. You guys have to, everybody who lives here has to give me some money. And he takes all that money and he distributes it to all of his warriors. And then he's like, here's a big bunch of money. Now go home, go back to Denmark or Norway or Sweden or wherever you're from. Tell them how great I am, but you can't stay here. So, okay, he keeps an elite bodyguard to watch after himself. And then he's just kind of like, he tells the English, like, look, I'm going to send these guys home. We're going to have peace. But if any bad things happen, I'm going to call my buddies back and it's going to be bad news for people. I am calling a ceasefire on heads on pikes, but it's dependent upon your actions. So don't rebel against me. And they don't. And Ethelred the Unready was a guy who was like a brutal tyrant ordering massacres. He had so many people assassinated and kind of fostered this culture in the upper echelon of like backstabbing and killing. And when Canute shows up, he kind of cleans house and says, like, look, I'm the toughest guy here. If you have a problem with me, we can go, but I don't think you want to. And they call it the Pax Danica. For 20-something years, England is at peace. Which is kind of unprecedented for this time period. An entire generation goes through life without fighting a war.
Yeah. And so what does this mean for England? Are they able to take advantage of the peace?
Well, they build up, right? They build irrigation, they build infrastructure. And it's all good stuff. So, all right, it's going pretty well. But Canute has a couple brothers. And after Sven Forkbeard dies, the king of Denmark is Knute's brother, Harold. And Harold, he dies in 1018. Like I said, Canute outlives his older brother. And when Harold dies, there's a bunch of nobility in Norway and Sweden who think like, okay, we can, the king of Denmark is dead. They've got this Canute guy over in England. Who cares? Sven Forkbeard's dead. King Harold is dead. Let's let's break free from Denmark. We don't want to be part of this empire anymore. We're going to break free. And so Norway and Sweden join up and they attack Denmark. Okay, Canute's kind of established infrastructure in England, but now he's got to deal with this. So he sets sail back. He rallies all of his dudes from his army. He sails back across to Denmark and not only defeats the Norwegians and the Swedes when they invade Denmark, and this is Viking on Viking violence here. He also gathers his army and attacks north into Norway and Sweden and reconquers those areas. So they declared their independence and attacked Denmark. He declared their non-independence, defended Denmark, and then reconquered Norway and Sweden.
Okay.
Now, then after that, while he's in Europe, he's like, hey, he gets invited to the coronation of the new Holy Roman Emperor. And so he gets to go to that because he's a major, the Vikings have been kind of these fringe raiders up until this point. And they've been kind of this like menace that lives on the periphery and terrifies people and causes destruction and chaos. But this guy is now the king of Norway, some of the Swedes, Denmark, and England. So he gets invited to the coronation of the Holy Roman Emperor.
Hey,
he goes to Rome.
Yeah, he's established now.
Yes. Yeah. He gets a box seat with the Pope at the coronation. So he gets to sit next to the Pope because remember, he's been building all those churches and stuff too.
Yeah.
And that's when he starts calling himself, he's declared at that coronation as the king of all the English and of Denmark and of the Norwegians and some of the Swedes.
Some of the Swedes.
There's so many great things happening here. King of all the English and of Denmark, of the Norwegians and some of the Swedes. He changes it from like the English to Denmark. Like it's everything's happening in this. I love it.
Yeah.
So 1027. He's in Rome. He had started as a Viking marauder, and now he's attending high fashion events as a VIP. He rules this. He calls it the North Sea Empire.
Well, and he's not wrong.
No, he's just the Pope. He gets to meet the new emperor, hang out with him. Yeah. While he's there, the new emperor comes in. He immediately negotiates a trade deal with this guy, he conquered, fought like a warrior, and now that he's ruling, he's like making deals, and people like him. Yeah. It's probably it's a weird combination of things.
Yeah.
And then, so he started off as second in line to the throne of Denmark and then became the ruler of this giant North Sea empire. He's remembered as an honorable ruler. He dies in the year 1035. He's only 40 years old, but he dies in 1035. That was young, even for this time period. But he had also been in like constant combat since he was probably old enough to carry an axe. So that's probably not bad for a frontline Viking warrior.
Yeah. So that's Canute. And there's a story about him that I'd like to tell.
I love this. I love this story. I think about this a lot. This is a story I think about I'll let you tell it.
Okay, yeah. So the story now, so I refer once again to our policy on this podcast, which is we are not going to let the fact that a story might be apocryphal prevent us from telling it if it is interesting and badass and cool, and if it's become part of the mythos about someone, Mm-hmm. So this story, it's probably apocryphal. It's a story that makes Canute look good, but it doesn't show up in the Encomium MI. So, you'd think if someone were writing a story about, a text about Emma and Canute, that would make them look good. They would include this, and it's not in there. So maybe it's not completely true, but it's a good story.
Maybe the guy wrote it before he did this.
Yes, we'll go with that. Yeah. And the thing about this story is that it gets reused in a bunch of different contexts. And sometimes I would actually consider it misused because it sometimes represents Canute as arrogant when in fact, I think it shows him as the opposite. So I'm going to tell it with its original spin as a way of showing Canute's reputation like a century or so after his death. Okay, so this is from the Historia Anglorum of Henry of Huntingdon, and it's from maybe a century after Canute's death. Anyway, Canute is at the height of his power. He considers the sea, the deep, the old brine, you know?
Mm-hmm.
This is... like,
he's a sailor. He's sailed halfway across the world. He's crossed the Arctic Sea twice now, or at least twice. I think more like 4 or 5 times by this point.
Yeah. This is a force of nature. And he considers the sea. If I, Canute, am the king of all the English and of Denmark, of the Norwegians and some of the Swedes, does he also hold sway over the sea that connects all of them? So he says to maybe his nobleman, maybe his assistant, he says, I would like to see if I can control the sea. So he's at the seaside. The tide is starting to come in. He asks for a chair to be brought down to the seashore. Seagulls are flying over his head. There's a fresh, salty breeze in the air. And this chair, I'm picturing probably like a nice chair, not just like a cheap little deck chair.
A throne, right? Some kind of golden throne kind of thing.
Yeah. So he sits in the chair. He musters all of his regal authority, and he commands the sea. Thou too, O sea, art subject to my command. No one has ever resisted my commands with impunity. I command you, then, not to wet the feet and robe of your lord. Little distance, a wave crashes on the shore. A second wave. Is it still as far away as the first one, or is he imagining it? A third wave. Canute wiggles his toes in his royal flip-flops. Okay, did Vikings have flip-flops? I have no idea. For this story, I want to imagine him with flip-flops, okay?
His house slippers, yeah.
Yeah. I want him to be able to feel, if the water's going to lap his toes, I want him to feel it, you know? I want him to go eek. Well, no, I would go eek if cold water hit my toes. He wouldn't.
Cold, yeah.
He wouldn't, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so the waves comes in, it recedes, comes in, it recedes. Maybe they're getting closer. Maybe that's just a trick of the light. Okay, well, yeah, okay. The tide is definitely coming in. Yeah, it's passing that little rock over there. Okay, yeah, it's getting a little closer. Now it's just a few inches away from his feet. Yank. So Canute, okay, he's too dignified to go to yelp. But yep, the ocean water has definitely reached his toes. It's coming in again, starting to cover his ankles, part of his legs, the hem of his robe. Ugh. Okay, well, it did not obey his order. So Canute the Great gets up out of his chair and announces, earthly power is nothing. It's empty. It's silly. The only real authority is God, whose eternal laws are obeyed even by the sky, the land, and the sea. So that's Canute. And as a symbol of this, after this incident, according to the story, Canute himself never actually wore a golden crown, but instead he took his golden crown and placed it on the head of a statue of Jesus.
So,
yeah,
my theory is that Canute, in addition to being a great warrior, is also a very good politician, diplomat. And, I have this theory that it was a science experiment, that he was just like, because, like as you were kind of alluding to, there are versions of the story where they're like, well, this was just a proof of his arrogance. He thought he was this is Caligula going to war with the ocean, going to war with Poseidon, right?
Look at me,
he thought he could control the ocean, but he can't.
Yeah.
And they make him, it's designed to like make him look like an idiot or like an arrogant jerk or whatever. But, I think he was pretty good at spinning this. He was just like, let's see. Like, I don't know. I'm the ruler of the North Sea Empire. Maybe the sea will listen to me. Let's try. And then he tried it and he was like, oh, no, that was what I was planning on doing the whole time. I knew it wouldn't work.
Yep.
But I think about this a lot because there's this culture when I go to visit my wife's family down in Brazil. There's groups of people who they'll put like a lawn chair literally on the beach and they'll kind of sit there with a cooler and a lawn chair like in the tide. And it's, I always think about this story of Canute the Great sitting on the throne on the beach.
I imagine the water's a little bit warmer in Brazil.
Yeah, it's much nicer. Much nicer than I mean, I've never swam off the coast of England, but it seems cold.
That's always the first time. But yeah. And so
it's win-win, right? You sit down, if you do it and it works, you're like the most powerful entity ever. You know, everybody has to listen to you if the ocean obeys your commands. And if it doesn't, you're like, hey, look, you know, I'm super religious.
Yeah, I'm humble, and also he's setting himself as a role model of humility. Like, hey, your king is humble, so all of you other noblemen should be humble too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
great.
So he wins. Is he wise? Is he clever? Is he both? Yeah, works for me.
Yes, he's all of these because he's clever. Okay, so Canute rules for 20 years apiece. He dies. And 7 years after his death, the North Sea Empire is dissolved. The Norway, Sweden, or some of the Swedes at least, Denmark, England, they weren't held together by institutions or geography, a shared love of pickled herring. They were held together by the gravitational pull of Canute the Great and his ability to hold them all in line. Now, okay, looking back on this, you know, we've got a guy who rules for 20 years apiece, and then the empire has no stability. It fizzles out 7 years after he's dead. But this structure that he built kind of becomes a load-bearing wall for three separate empires. Canute is interesting because he's the only guy that could sit in a room with English bishops, Danish Vikings, Norwegian jarls, and keep everybody from stabbing each other. You know, he dies. He also had a bunch of kids from two different women. They all swear blood oaths after he died. There's the succession war. By 1042, all of his kids are dead. There's no heirs. The crown passes back to the old English line of Ethelred the Unready. Okay. Ends up in the hands of Edward the Confessor, who becomes the King of England. And then when Edward the Confessor dies, you have another succession dispute that ends up with William the Conqueror taking over and building England as we know it today. So, you know, the legacy of Canute is interesting because for the next 300 years, being a descendant of Canute, and he, like you said, doesn't have male heirs, but his sister Estrid has children. And so that line was basically the requirement for being king of Denmark. The current Danish royal family still traces their lineage back to Canute the Great through Estrid. And Canute's wife, Emma of Normandy, she's the great aunt of William the Conqueror. So when William the Conqueror, remember when he invades in 1066, he's not just some random Viking invader, Normandy invader. He is basing his right to rule England off of descent to Canute the Great, and you know, through also the marriage to Ethelred the Unready. So interesting. Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
William has a thing that he declares like the right of conquest because he was like, well, Canute conquered and then made himself king. So we've established precedent for that. So legally I'm allowed to conquer England and become king of England.
Okay.
And nobody argued with him because he had a bigger army than everybody else. Yep. Canute is interesting because he gives us a new look on Vikings, and Turgis the Devil did this to some degree too. Turgis the Devil was a little more violent, but he's like, the Viking didn't just have to burn things to the ground to be badass. Canute builds monasteries and protects them, and makes even though he's taxing it, the monks don't have a problem paying him their taxes because they feel lucky to have him because he's protecting the monastery and keeping peace in the land.
Yeah, for 20 years. That's not nothing.
For 20 years, 2 decades, an entire generation.
Yeah.
I mean, he's called the Great. There's, I think, 2 kings in English history known as the Great. There's Alfred the Great and there's Canute the Great, and that's it.
Yeah.
Every king that comes after him, both in England and in Denmark, they have to try to live up to this reputation of, being known as a great warrior and a great administrator, which is a very difficult combination of things. Even people who are good ministers, they're like, oh, well, he's not a great warrior. So I don't know. Interesting stuff. Well, that's Canute the Great. And Pat, I guess this is the time for us to talk about what's the lesson that we learned from this story.
Oh, what's the lesson? Well, I don't know. One lesson is maybe do your best to make other people's lives better. That seemed to work out very well for Canute.
We have found that over the course of this show, we have learned that one of the best ways to be remembered as like a good king is to live a long time and rule for a long time.
Okay, yeah.
He does rule for 20 years, so if everybody likes him, I feel like you see that with, I don't know if it's related, but
well, hey, not
like
getting yourself killed by people who are pissed
king.
off at you, you know?
That's true, like not getting assassinated or overthrown or revolutions.
Yeah. And also, that moment on the island when he and Edmund are kind of recognize each other. It's like, respect the good things in your enemy, even if they're your enemy.
Right. Yeah, we do see that with him, and even that same humility is applied with the trying to stop the sea thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's the lesson, I guess. All right. This has been Canute the Great. This is Badass of the Week. We thank you guys so much for joining us today on this episode. We hope you liked it. If you did, please like and subscribe and do all of those other things that make our lives better at the show here. So it does help us and it does matter. So if you wouldn't mind doing it, that would be awesome and we'd really appreciate it. All right, Pat, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for helping me tell the story.
Thank you,
I always
Ben.
like doing the Viking ones together.
Oh, those are so much fun. Yes.
All right, and thanks to all of you out there for listening. We will see you again with a different story next week.
Stay badass.
Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content and $7 Productions. Executive producers are Dwayne Johnson, Danny Garcia, Andrew Jacobs, Hiram Garcia, Brian Gewirtz, Frankie Chaparino, and of course, me, Ben Thompson. Writing is by me and my semi-regular but always awesome co-host, Dr. Patricia Larash. Story editing by Ian Jacobs. Our mixing, music, and sound design is done by the incomparable Jude Brewer. Production support by Jean McHale-Waite. Badass of the Week is based on my website, badassoftheweek.com, where you can read all sorts of stories about other badasses. If you want to reach out with questions or ideas, you can email us at badasspodcast@badassoftheweek.com. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, follow, listen, tell your friends, and tell your enemies. And please leave us a review. If you want to support Badass of the Week, please check out our Patreon page. We'll be back next week with another one.
Security program on spreadsheets, new regulations piling up, and audit dread? It's time for Vanta. Vanta automates security and compliance, brings evidence into one place, and cuts audit prep by 82%. Less manual work, clearer visibility, faster deals, zero chaos. Call it compliance, or call it compliance. Get it? Join the 15,000 companies using Vanta to prove trust. Go to vanta.com/calm.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Have no fear. Chosen Foods is here to defend your favorite foods from the forces of seedy oils and sketchy ingredients. With cooking oils, salad dressings, and mayo, all powered by the good fats from 100% pure avocado oil and simple, delicious ingredients. Chosen Foods.